Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Crucible again, because we're going to be taking a look at some of the best Crucible builds that you can take into trials this week. And I'm making this video since I've been getting a lot of questions lately regarding some of the past builds that we've done, and if they're still good in Crucible in Act 2 with some of the changes that Bungie made. So we're going to be going over these two builds and what are some of the things that changed, and if I still think that they're worth taking into trials, and if they're still going to help you get that flawless completion or you get some streaks. I still call it flawless, but you know, you get the streaks. And if you guys want to learn about either of these builds and how they work a little bit more in depth, then I'll leave the link in the description to both of them so you can go and check that out. But I definitely recommend that you watch this first so you can actually see the way that the builds may have changed. And a bit of a spoiler, but they actually didn't change that much. Now, starting off with the first build, we have the Invisible Knucklehead Radar Hunter. And the Knucklehead Radar got no changes at all. So you're still going to be able to track people through walls with it. And you also are never going to be surprised since you have your radar always up. No one's going to be able to sneak up on you just because of the amount of information you have with the Knucklehead Radar. It is still a fantastic exotic. It is still just as good. Now, when it comes to the weapons, the only thing that really changed here was the Redrix and some of the changes the Redrix got. Especially to this role right here, the role that everyone gets, the Lone Wolf Sword Logic one. And if you guys didn't actually get this when you did your competitive matches, you can actually go to Shax and pick it up. It'll be right there. Now, I think the biggest of the two changes is the one to Sword Logic. So it's not really specific to the Redrix itself, but it's just to Sword Logic in general, where it got nerfed, so it doesn't really give you as big of a damage increase, meaning that the Redrix can no longer 2-burst people used with Sword Logic. And this thing used to be crazy. You could 2-burst pretty much anybody of 9 resilience, and with the perk lasting as long as it does, you could get a kill, fully regen, and then take on somebody else with that extra damage, and then just melt them. Sword Logic was just amazing, so it ended up getting nerfed. Now you're no longer going to be able to 2-burst anybody with it, but it does give you an easier time reaching that optimal TTK. But if you want to keep a role that's kind of similar to this one, I would recommend Lone Wolf plus Kill Clip. It's essentially going to be doing what old Sword Logic did, just that now you have to reload after getting a kill. But because the kill clip buff is higher than old Sword Logic was, it is going to be able to 2-burst pretty much anybody. Even the 10 resilience titans won't be able to escape the 2-burst like they could with Sword Logic. So the nerf to Sword Logic definitely hurt like the follow-up kill potential, but the other nerf was basically nothing. It was just a little slap on the wrist for the Redrix because Bungie decided to decrease its handling by 5. Yep, that's not a joke. They decreased the handling by 5 and called it a day. So yeah, Redrix is still just the best weapon in the game still. So if you want to just use the best weapon, you should still be using the Redrix. And besides that, nothing else got hit here, at least when it comes to like our weapons and armor. You still want a grenade launcher for your heavy, the colony works pretty well, and the Zealot's reward is still running rampant. But like I said, any good fusion rifle or shotgun in the slot is gonna pair up really well with the Redrix. It didn't have to be the Zealot's reward, but it just has some crazy range right now, so that's why I ended up recommending it. Another subclass also did get two different changes, one on the smoke and also one on the aspects. With the smoke, you're no longer going to be able to slow targets, and it also no longer suppresses movement ability. So if you get hit by a smoke, now you can get out of it with a Titan thrust, or also with a dodge. So those are the two changes that I made to the smoke bomb, so while it did get weaker, it is still a very strong ability. You can still manipulate the radar, you can still spam it, and while now it might not be a guaranteed kill every time somebody walks into the smoke, they're still going to be taking more damage because they're weakened, and they are definitely going to have to work for it for getting out of smoke. And there's still a chance that you just kill them outright in the smoke. So I think the smoke is still really good. I don't think these changes really are going to do much to really stop the smoke spam that's been going on in the Crucible. It is still just going to be something that you see pretty much in every game. Now on the Prowl, got some changes, but they're mostly visual changes. Basically, the Haunted player just doesn't glow as much from their point of view, so they just don't get blinded by their own player model. And, you know, that's pretty good. Besides that, on the Prowl still works. You said it before, you're still going to get all that energy, you're still going to go invisible, and you're still going to spawn that weakening cloud next to some enemies if you kill the teammate next to them. So, on the Prowl, still fantastic. Nothing really changed about this. So those are all the changes that affected this build, and they're very minor changes. I think this is still going to be an amazing build that can pretty much take you some big streaks in Trials or Competitive. You can take it for both. It's going to serve you well in pretty much any Crucible game mode. Especially with Red still being the best weapon in the game, this build is going to treat you very well, and it's probably what I'm going to end up using this weekend in Trials. Now the second build, the Invisible Tommies plus the Radiant Dance Machines. This is a build that it's a little bit more newer, so it has almost no changes from Act 1, and you're still going to be able to use it for the majority of Act 2. The only changes that we really got were to the subclass, and they are the exact same ones that affected the last build, so the very minor ones. They're the Smoke one, as well as the On the Prowl changes that pretty much just affect the enemy. And that's literally it. Everything else is still completely the same, so Tommies will continue to be a menace up close. And I think it's going to continue to be a menace for the rest of Act 2. Now they have acknowledged that the Tommies is probably performing too well in the Crucible, so in the future it's probably going to get a nerf, but it is definitely not going to be during Act 2. They haven't even given a timeline on when they're actually going to make these changes, they just acknowledge them. So you're probably going to be able to use this build in every single Trials week in Act 2, so I definitely think this build is definitely still going to be, so I definitely think that you're still going to be able to abuse this build for the rest of Act 2 without really worrying about catching any nerfs. I just don't think that you're going to do anything before Act 3. It's just going to be something that's going around in Crucible, and you're going to be seeing the Tommies for the next couple of Trials weeks. And yeah, nothing really changed. That's it. That's all I can really say about the Radiant Dance Machines with the Tommies. It is still just literally the same build, and it still does the exact same thing, which is just melt people with the ridiculous, crazy headfire. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the full videos to both of these builds are going to be in the description below, as well as in the comments, in case you guys want to check these out. But yeah, that is the update to these builds for Act 2. They're almost completely the same, with a couple of things got maybe slightly weaker, but things were just so head and shoulders over everything else that it is still just the best things that you could be using in the Crucible, either for Trials, Competitive, or just for some Iron Banner. These builds are still going to serve you very well in the upcoming weeks. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's short video. Hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully you guys check out the builds. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm going to be streaming Trials this weekend, so if you guys want to stop by, hop in for a few games this weekend, make sure you guys follow me on Twitch as well. Anyways, thank you for stopping by, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.